Hi there, my name is Maria and I'm currently a master's intern at UW-Whitewater. So today I'm going to be talking about self-harm and a few ways to cope with or manage struggles with self-harm during the COVID-19 pandemic or really any time where this is a challenge. So this resource is for anybody who is struggling with self-harm, no matter the type of self-harm or the reasons behind the self-harm. So at the end of this video will be more information that you could use, as well as additional resources to seek out. So first, what is self-harm? So self-harm, broadly speaking, is anything that somebody does to purposely harm their body. And we'll get into a little bit later some of the reasons why people might self-harm, but this includes engaging in things such as cutting oneself, scratching, burning, hitting oneself or other objects, picking at existing wounds. There are many different forms that self-harm can take, or it's sometimes referred to as self-injury as well. So some of the reasons people may engage in self-harm include coping with negative or difficult emotions such as sadness or emptiness, self-loathing, guilt, rage. So a way to temporarily cope with some of these feelings. It could be a way to express feelings that are difficult to put into words or show. It could be an outward or a symbol of the pain that somebody is feeling on the inside. It could be a form of release or relief. Oftentimes people report that after engaging in self-harm, they feel at least temporarily a sense of relief from that activity. It could also be, for some people, a way to feel a little bit more in control, or it could be a way to punish oneself. If an individual is feeling a lot of self-loathing, it could be a way to punish themselves. Self-harm can also be a form of distraction from overwhelming emotions or from things going on in day-to-day life. It can also be a form if people are feeling numb, feeling just kind of like they're going about their day and not really feeling anything, they're feeling empty. Self-harm could be a way to feel something physically. It could be like a jolt to the body. So this isn't necessarily a comprehensive list of all the reasons people may engage in self-harm, self-injurious behavior, but these are some of the common things that people report which keeps them engaged in these self-injurious behaviors. The many different reasons why people might self-harm. In order to cope with or manage these thoughts of self-harm, it's important to find other behaviors or other things to do that can have a longer lasting impact in relieving some of those negative or uncomfortable states. So, for example, for people who self-harm because they feel numb and they want to feel more alive, feel something instead of feeling numb, some commonly recommended things to try include having a rubber band around your wrist that you snap when you're feeling that way, or holding something really hot or really cold, not to the point where you're burning yourself, but like holding onto ice cubes, for example, because those sudden changes in how you're feeling can kind of provide that same sense of jolt, but without physically harming yourself. Oftentimes self-harm might have a repetitive nature to it, so people might use the same materials or self-harm in the same place. So changing up the surroundings can be something useful to start to break that cycle. So if an individual is experiencing a lot of negative emotions and has an urge to self-harm, finding a different context can be one way to either stall that behavior or start to replace that behavior of self-harm. I know during COVID-19 it can be really hard to change your surroundings, so finding other ways to change things up, whether that's rearranging a room, going on a walk outside, leaving to a different room of the house or the apartment, just removing from that space where you typically self-harm or where you have those thoughts of self-harm can be really valuable. In addition to changing the context and the environment that's around you, you can also remove some of the things that you're more likely to use when engaging in self-harm. I know it can be really challenging to be open with others about self-harm, and if there is somebody that you trust in your friend group, with your family, actually physically handing them the materials that you tend to use to self-harm, removing those from your room, from your area, can be a way to decrease the urge or add one more barrier for self-harming. It can also be really valuable for people that engage in self-harm behaviors, if they're feeling numb, to engage the senses in other ways. So finding a few scents that you really like, whether that's candles or perfumes, finding something tactile that you really enjoy touching or holding when you're having those urges or impulses. So finding something really cozy, really fuzzy, something to engage the senses in a different way. Oftentimes music is a really powerful way for people to cope with things and to deal with things. So finding some sort of music or creating a playlist to listen to distract yourself can be really valuable. I know it can be really hard to focus on something like chores or tasks when somebody is experiencing thoughts of self-harming, but finding a small task like cleaning a part of a room, doing the dishes, can be a great way to have something to focus on and change some of these behaviors, or at least stall the behaviors. I know some people who have things like stress balls, fidget cubes, Play-Doh, worry stones. Having something small that fits into your hand, if you're typically using your hands to self-harm, can be a good way to ground yourself. Grounding exercises are really powerful in kind of bringing you back into the moment. There are also some ways to sort of minimize the self-harm damage. So some people, if, for example, they cut their arms, some people might draw with a marker in areas where they might want to cut, or rubbing an ice cube along the area. Some people might also, for example, if they tend to punch things or punch themselves, punching something that's soft like a pillow. Exercise is also a great way to release endorphins and feel a little bit better in the moment. It can also be powerful to engage your body, like if you're, for example, going on a run and you're heavy breathing, it could be a way to kind of feel more grounded in your body. I know I just listed a lot of ways that people might cope with self-harm urges, that people might make the self-harm less physically harmful or decrease the urge to self-harm. And I want to recognize that these different coping skills aren't necessarily targeting the reason why people are feeling numb or the reason why people are feeling depressed or anxious, the different things that are leading to the self-harm. So I highly recommend that people see a counselor in order to work through some of these feelings and just continue to implement additional coping skills into your life. So seeing a counselor to work through self-harm, I know it can be intimidating, but I highly encourage and highly recommend seeing a counselor. They can help you work through all these different pieces if you have additional questions about yourself or about someone that is engaging in self-harm. So I highly recommend looking out for the resources at the end of this video and talking to your counselor as well.